Hi friends, my name is Heather Gamm and Angie is here recording for me today and helping me out. We are talking about animal tracks and we've got a couple posters that we're going to check out first, and then I have some activities that I'll share with you and I can share in the classroom or at home as well. So the first track says, whose track is that? And we want to look at the first clue, which is the shape of the clue. So we have some animals that have flat feet. So right here we have flat feet. We happen to be one of those animals as well. So perhaps you've seen yourself walk at the swimming pool and things like that, and you can see your footprint. So we have flat feet. This happens to be Mr. Squirrel right here. Some animals walk on their tiptoes, and those would be cats and dogs. And the dogs show their toe nails right here in front, and the cats do not because they pull their claws or toes back in. So the dog track is right there. The last one is a hoof. And so many animals, cows, pigs, horses, deer also have a hoof shape. And so we have to look at these clues to figure out, first off, what kind of animal might be outside. And typically we don't always get to see the animals themselves, but we only see their clues, these animal tracks, okay? How would I find an animal track? Could I find it in the snow? Yes. Could I find it on a rock? Not usually. How about mud? Could I find it in the mud? Yes, totally. So we can find it on all those different places, but places that are hard like rocks, we usually cannot find animal tracks on. Okay, so second clue. Does it have the claws or not? Oh, do you remember what I said on the first one? If it has the toenails, it means it's a kind of dog, okay? So this one is the gray fox and the red fox and the coyote. And then these without the toenails are actually cats. So here's a house cat, meow, and this one is a bobcat. And a mountain lion or a cougar would also be a track that you could have as well. Okay, so that's the second clue. Then we also need to know how many toes they have. Some animals have lots of toes. These animals here have several toes, okay? The bear, he has 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it looks like 5, just like us, okay? So that is also a clue as to what the animal might be, looking at the toes. Now, if I'm not sure how many toes each animal has, it's a good idea to get a guide, okay? So this guidebook really helps me figure out. Sometimes I have just a little pocket guide that I might take with me that helps me show you what each of those tracks are if we're outside. Oh, that was backwards. Sorry about that, friends. But this one has all kinds of fun different ones, and that helps me look really quick, and that's a little bit easier sometimes than my book, okay? So how many is really important. Now, clue number 4. The size of the track matters. If the size of the track is as big as my whole hand, it is not going to be a mouse track, okay? Because the mouse foot is going to be teeny tiny, like the mouse itself. Now, this is a fairly large mouse, okay? Most mice are not the size of my fist, okay? So it's got to be smaller than that. But this elephant foot over here, oh my goodness, that is going to be a huge flat foot track. So those would be very, very large. Would we find any of those around here in Iowa, though? No. Yeah. So that's kind of a fun one. The last thing we have is we need to know, are they hopping? Are they skipping? Are they jumping? Or are they walking? Because that makes a difference in the stride, how far apart the track actually is. So these feet of this cheetah, okay, are really far apart. And that means that the cheetah was really running fast. And the fox over here, he's doing a little jump into the snow, it looks like. And so his toes are going to be really close together. And oh my goodness, look at this crazy line of a track of a snake in the sand. Okay, so those kind of tracks would be crazy different. I don't know if I would recognize a snake track, that's for sure. And then finally, Mama Bear up here, she would be having lots of tracks because she has lots of babies following her. Okay, so this guy, oh, looks like he's maybe on a road because there's the yellow line dotted in the middle. And so he wouldn't even make a track at all. But no matter what they're doing, that makes an important difference on the track. So if you get a little bit of an animal track sheet, front and back, you can do some stamps. So if your teacher brings them, I would, or if I could drop them off, then she would have them in your class for you. So here's a little bit of a hint about how to put the track on. You will see that it's on the picture that represents the animal. So this one happens to be quack, quack. That one's a duck. Okay, so I'm going to stick it and I'm going to hold on to the red part, and we only have a few of these red ones, so we only can do maybe one or two of those. And then I have to find that duck picture on my page. Is this a duck? No. How about this one? That's my duck. So I want to put it down. I want to place my hand on top, really make sure that I get the toes on the duck because I kind of rock it back and forth. Oh, see, I missed it. Miss Angie should have been, oh no, I didn't even get any ink on it. She's probably thinking, oh my goodness, Heather, that doesn't even look like a duck. There, I got it. Go. Okay, so it's got to have those three almost like toes. You'll also notice that there's webbing between the duck's feet. So I don't have any webbing between my fingers, but there is skin between those toes of that duck. So that's kind of a fun one. Now, what happens if I'm also needing a rabbit? Some of the stamps look really, really small. And again, I have to put them in the ink. And then I pull it back out. Now I have to find my rabbit. Is this my rabbit? No, that's a fox. How about this one? Is this my rabbit? Sure is. So could I make the rabbit hop because my stamp's a little bit smaller? And I can go back to the stamper if I want to, and I can make it look like it's hopping right across my sheet. Okay? So the stamps are one activity we might be able to do. Then I also have some rubbing plates, and the rubbing plates are kind of fun. They give you a print of the animal and the front foot and the back foot. Okay, so here's what they look like. This one happens to be a squirrel, and there's a picture of the animal. Here's what his track would look like if he's hopping from a tree to another tree. And we will like to show you some of those tracks. So hopefully you'll see one just right now. And then if you are ready to rub your tracing here, we put a clean piece of paper on the top. We take a crayon with no wrapper and we use it wrong. I know, here we go. We're gonna do something wrong or backwards or crazy. We're gonna pinch it, okay? And then I'm gonna go over this. So I don't know if you can see that very well, but we'll get a little bit of a closer up view there maybe. And so I'm just rubbing, I'm holding the paper with my fingers here too. Okay, so that's another important thing. Got my bushy tail and got my toes over here of that, and then the hopping track on the bottom. So I just used that crayon by pinching it and holding it sideways in order to be able to get that print. And then that's something that you can take home. Now, if you want to practice your letters, could I write squirrel on here with my crayon even? Sure could. And that's a tricky word because it's got a Q in it. Sometimes Q's are hard, but I did write it on there so that you could potentially do that activity as well. Okay, so there's more than just one of those. I can give you several of those for your classroom as well. I do have lots of fun books, and you might look for track books at the library at your school, or if you get to go to the public library now. I did hear that that was opening back up. You might find a track book at the library. So this is kind of a fun one. This one's about the snow and whose tracks are in the snow. And then this one, oh man, this one has a cool raccoon on the front. And he has a hand very much like a person. It looks like a little hand. So that's that guy. And that's a fairly easy book to read. And this one is kind of fun too. It has a special trick in the back that, oh, is really hard for children to guess. But it's kind of a clue book. And that's what animal tracks really are. So the last activity I have is this particular matching game. So if you've ever played a matching game where you turn all your cards upside down, okay, on the table, then each person takes a turn. So maybe Miss Angie would play with me. Do you think?
Ooh,
okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna get her to play with me. So I'm gonna go first. I'm gonna pick up the one in the corner. Ooh, that's a stinky, smelly skunk. So I'm gonna leave that one up. And then I'm gonna go up here. Oh, that is not a skunk. That is a cute little otter. So I'm gonna put that one down. So I had a skunk and an otter. Now it's Miss Angie's turn. So she's gonna pick.
Let's see.
What is she gonna get? Ooh.
A bear. And I'm cheating because I saw it when Miss Heather flipped it up, but a bear.
She knows where the bear is. So if you're playing in a big group, I would encourage you just to let the next person go and not to take a second turn. Okay, so I already picked these two cards. So now I have to pick this card. Oh, I found the otter. And I remember where the other otter was. I think it was here. Is that an otter? Yay! Okay, so I get to keep that one. But remember, we're only taking one turn at a time. So now it's Miss Angie's turn.
Oh, man.
This is the hard one. She only had two cards.
A skunk and a stinky skunk.
Yay! So each of those cards does have a picture and the track on it. And so that's kind of nice because you can see the picture and match the track. And the color clue on the outside also tells you if you have matched that up, okay? So those cards are a little bit harder, but because they're not exact matches, they're not, but they're a track and an animal and a track and an animal, looking for the color on the outside to match as well, okay? All right, well, that's just a little bit about tracks. We're going to include some tracks that Miss Angie and I found as we've been out exploring in the last year or so. So some of the tracks might actually be in the snow and other tracks might be in the mud. And I want you to go out and look for tracks and see if you can find any on maybe a muddy day or in the sand or even your ooh, I hope there's no cat tracks in your sandbox. That means they might be using your sandbox for something else. But maybe you'll find some tracks of your dog or your own cat at home as well. All right, well, I hope you had fun learning about tracks, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.